Good morning, how are you doing? Well, today we are going to start with a new page of the book. So it's called Oxidation. But before that, I want you to review some questions that you may have from the previous unit, combustion. You have asked me some questions, and I'm going to try to explain to you what is going to be the answer to those questions. First of all, for a combustion reaction, we are talking about combustion. Okay, now we are going to review some things that you may have of combustion. So for combustion you need a fuel, oxygen, and you have an initial amount of heat, and then you obtain energy and you obtain other substances like, for example, carbon dioxide or smoke. Well, some of you asked me, how can, for example, a lighter, un mechero, work? So when we have here a lighter, this is a very special one. This will be a lighter, un mechero. Inside the lighter, it has a liquid. This liquid that is here will be the fuel. Okay, so we have the first element of our reaction. Then the oxygen that is outside will be the second element. And how do we get the initial heat to do that combustion reaction? Okay, so the initial heat is because of this. This is called la piedra del mechero. The stone that you have here, when you move it, what it does is that it makes a light or initial heat, la chispa del mechero, a sprinkle. So this allows the initial heat. And then you have usually like a step, a little bit, una pestañita here. When you push, the fuel moves up. So the fuel, that is a gas, moves up and starts coming out here. With this little sprinkle, con la chispa, this gas starts coming out, and with the oxygen we have already all the ingredients and we have the energy here that comes in the form of a flame, una llama. Okay, so here it will be the energy of the lighter. Lo explico en castellano. ¿Cómo se produce la combustión en un mechero? Tenemos aquí el combustible, que es un gas que está licuado porque está dentro de un compartimento, y tenemos aquí la piedra del mechero y tenemos fuera el oxígeno. El combustible lo que hace es salir poco a poco cuando yo aprieto esto. Si yo solamente aprieto la pestañita del mechero pero no hay chispa, si nos falta el calor inicial, no se produce la combustión. Pero si yo le doy a la rueda y produzco una chispa, inmediatamente después aprieto, el gas empieza a arder y tendríamos la combustión. ¿De acuerdo? Now I'm going to explain the next part that we have. Oh no, before that, the experiment. There was an experiment on exercise 4. The experiment on exercise 4, it was that we have here a candle. Okay, so we have here a candle, una vela, with a flame already. Okay, a candle with a flame. And then we will have a glass. What happened when we put over the candle a glass? What will happen? That finally, what is going to happen is that this will disappear little by little. Why? Why this happen? Because here we have oxygen and the candle has the fuel. The fuel, lo que se quema, is the wax, la cera. La cera de la vela es lo que se quema, ¿vale? Then we have the oxygen and we have the flame, that is the energy. Well, in the reaction, we are taking the oxygen and the fuel to produce carbon dioxide. So what is happening is that inside this glass, the oxygen, little by little, is getting burned and suddenly it disappears. In the moment that the oxygen disappears, we only have carbon dioxide inside this. So here we have no oxygen, we only have carbon dioxide, and that's why this turns off, se apaga. It turns off. Why? Why se apaga? ¿Por qué se apaga? Porque ya no hay oxígeno. Se ha acabado lo que necesitábamos, que era el oxígeno. El oxígeno desaparece. So that's why the candle turns off or runs out of oxygen. That's why it happens. And now we are going to go with the next reaction, okay? That is called oxidation. So, what is this reaction? Oxidation. It's a reaction that happens to the surface in contact with the oxygen. It's not a combustion. So we have something here, then we have oxygen, and then we have here a different substance, okay? This will be the oxiding agent. We have here the oxidizing agent. Here we have the reducing agent, and we have here something that is oxidating. So we have here the oxidation. So what is going to happen in this reaction? That anything in contact with oxygen can change the shape and the appearance. And we have this example with, for example, an apple. I'm going to show you a little bit of a video with an apple oxidation. Here you can see what happened when I leave an apple to the air, and here we have a normal apple. I will send you this video so you can see how to do this experiment. What is this brown thing on top of the surface of the apple? And this doesn't have it because it has a protector with vinegar or with lemon, so it doesn't allow the oxygen to get in. Well, what happens here is that the oxygen reacts with the surface of the apple and it gets this color because this is another substance. This is what we call oxidation. In the book, it explains a little bit difficult, is here. It explains a little bit difficult because it talks about electrons and so on, and maybe you don't remember that from 4th grade. That's where I think that you learn it. So I'm going to try to explain it very simple, although I know that this is a little complicated part, but I'm going to try to explain it simple. So what we have on I'm going to read it through it. Oxidation is a chemical reaction in which an atom loses one or more electrons to another atom. Oxidation causes changes to the properties and appearance of substances. Here we have the word atom, and we have here the word electrons. To understand this, I'm going to review a little bit what is an atom. So here we have that the atoms, if you remember, the atoms are the small particles that matter is made up of. So the atoms have a nucleus. Here will be the nucleus, I call it an N, and around the nucleus they have a cloud of electrons. It is a cloud of electrons. In the nucleus we have two particles. We have protons and we have neutrons. I don't know if you studied this, but inside the nucleus you have protons and neutrons. Don't worry if you don't remember this, because you will learn that next year and the next year and the next year. And the cloud of electrons, they are little particles that are here moving around, and they are called electrons, right? These are the electrons. Well, when they are talking about atoms, they are talking about these particles, and they have a nucleus and they have electrons, right? So what happened in the oxidation reaction? It happens the following. The oxygen is going to get electrons from other substances, so it's going to get more electrons, and the other substance thereby is going to lose these electrons and is going to make the appearance to be different. So we could say that the atoms that are very tiny and we don't see them, the oxygen atoms are like Pac-Man. You know this, Pac-Man? Pac-Man is what eats in the game. So the oxygen atom are like Pac-Mans. They love to eat, I'm going to put it like this, eat electrons. So what they do is to take the electrons from the surface of other things and they gain electrons. So the oxygen atoms are going to gain electrons in the oxidation reaction, and the other substances thereby are going to lose electrons. So when I have here another substance that is combined with oxygen atoms, this substance is going to lose electrons and the oxygen is going to gain these electrons. So the oxygen, remember, is a Pac-Man, and on the surface of the substances that are going to be reducing are going to be electron, and they are going to move to the oxygen one. So this Pac-Man is going to eat some electrons of this substance, right? And then at the end, the new substance that I will have will be different from the original one because it has less number of electrons. So this substance will be oxidated because the oxygen has eaten or has gained their electrons, right? Okay, then let's going to continue reading through it. It says, oxidation is the process in which electrons are transferred, se transfieren, from the molecules of one substance to that of another. The substance that loses electrons is called the reducing agent. So here, the substance will be called the reducing agent. This one, the reducing agent, right? And then if we continue reading, the substance that gains electrons is called the oxidation agent. So the oxygen atoms usually are going to be I'm going to use another color, the oxidizing agent. Okay? So I'm going to erase this and put it a little bit more clear. I have a substance, like at the beginning, I have a substance here that is going to be the reducing agent, and then I have the oxygen that will be the oxidizing agent, right? And the electrons of this are going to move to the oxygen that, remember, that is like a Pac-Man that loves to eat electrons. So this gains electrons and this loses electrons, right? So the oxygen gains electrons and the reducing agent loses the electrons, right? So the oxygen is an oxidizing agent that gains electrons, right? It gains electrons. Types of oxidation. Here we have some examples, and this is easy. Rusting, oxidación, se oxida el metal. Many vehicles are made of iron. Iron is a reducing agent. So when iron is exposed to oxygen and moisture in the air, its electrons are lost. And oxygen is an oxidizing agent. So when iron and oxygen come into contact, oxygen atoms gain electrons from the iron atoms and oxidation takes place. The process of oxidation, iron, is called rusting. So If we draw it, it will be like this. I will have here the iron and I will have here the oxygen. So what is going to happen is that the iron in the metal, I'm going to draw a car, for example. Okay, so the surface of the car, electrons are going to the oxygen and this will get rust. So this will be rusting, okay? Rusting. The iron gives electrons to the oxygen. So again, this will be loses electrons and the oxygen gains electrons because remember it's like a Pac-Man, right? So he loves to eat electrons. Why does it say that the moist will help? Moist es húmedo. La humedad, moist, will help because, for example, if it rains, the things get rust faster. Si llueve, las cosas se oxidan antes, porque la humedad ayuda al oxígeno a entrar en el hierro y quitar los electrones. ¿Ok? The moist helps. The moist helps. La humedad ayuda a la oxidación de las cosas. Let's see the effects. Rusting causes the color of the iron to change to an orange or red color. At the same time, the irons become brittle, frágil, and breaks easily. Rusting can cause problems in vehicles because the structure of the vehicle becomes weak and can break, débil. To prevent rusting, vehicles are painted. La pintura sería una capa que evita que se oxide. The paint forms a barrier between the iron and the oxygen in the air so that it doesn't rust. Let's go to the next page. What happened with the fruit? It's called browning. ¿Por qué? Porque se vuelve marrón, como el vídeo que os enseñé. Browning in fruit. The soft interior parts of some fruit turn brown and become soft when they are exposed to air. This process is also caused by oxidation. Some fruits are reducing agents, so when the fruit is exposed to the air, its electrons are lost. The oxygen atoms in the air gain electrons from the fruit atoms. When this happens, a chemical change takes place, and the part of the fruit that has oxidized is usually no longer good to eat. So we are going to set an example here with browning. Browning. So I'm going to draw here an apple. And I'm going to draw the oxygen as well. So what is happening? When the apple is not cut, the surface of the apple, the skin of the apple, the skin protects from the oxygen. But what happens when we cut the apple in half? So imagine we cut the apple and then we have here a little surface that is cut and is not with this skin protection. So in this, there are electrons that are able to be oxidated. So these electrons are going to go to the air and then the apple is going to lose electrons and the oxygen is going to gain electrons. And at the end, what we will have is that the surface of the apple will be brown. That's why it's called browning, because in this surface we already have that it has lost electrons, right? Okay, let's go back to the book. The effects of browning in fruit. Browning effect is the taste and the color of fruit and vegetables. Usually this effect is undesirable, no es deseable. However, sometimes browning has a desirable effect, for example, to give color to dried fruit. In the experiment, en este experimento, si lo veis desde el principio, lo que hace es utilizar esto de aquí, que es un limón. Si yo cubro una de ellas Con zumo de limón estaré haciendo una barrera protectora porque el limón no se oxida. Entonces, mirad lo que hace, le unta zumo de limón en una de ellas. Vamos a verlo. ¿Veis? Y la otra no. Esto lo podéis hacer en casa y veréis como la que tiene zumo de limón no se oxida. Las dejamos al aire y ya se va viendo que una se pone más oscura y al final pasa esto. Okay? So I hope that you understood everything. If you have any question, tell me. Now, you have to do on your notebook, or you have to do all the exercises, but which one you have to do on your notebook? Exercise 1 on the notebook, and you send me a picture through Bling Learning. Exercise 2, you do it in Bling Learning because it has a tick. Exercise 3, show what happens in the following chemical reactions. Draw 2 pictures for each reaction, before and after. A bicycle that is left outside over the winter, and a lettuce that was cut for salad yesterday. You can draw it or you can just explain it to me. And you have to think what will happen, okay? And send me a picture of your notebook. Number 4, think, discuss the question with a classmate. Of course, if you don't have a classmate, you just write what you think. Then check your ideas using search and discover or the internet. What happens to avocados when they are cut? You can investigate on internet. Do they get oxidated or is like lemon? That is a protection. You have to find out. How can we stop this happening? If you think that they get oxidated, then what can you do to avoid it? ¿Qué podemos hacer para evitarlo? You have an idea. It's the same as in the experiment of the apple. And then you do the quiz. I hope you understood everything, and if not, are free to send me a message and I will try to explain it to you. Goodbye.